let's start with Gausman just to tie a bow on the Blue Jay conversation and open the book on our factor fluke conversation. This feels like very beginnings of Project the Plate, just baseball, right? When we're playing factor fluke, we played it with a lot of teams in like May, but we're going to play factor fluke with a lot of breakout guys from the 2021 season. Let's start with Kevin Gausman. We're going to hit some other guys that earned Cy Young consideration. We're going to hit on some other guys who were MVP dark horses by the end of the year. But let's start in Toronto/San Francisco with Kevin Gausman. I am going to call fact with Gausman. It's just been a long time coming with him. And when he was making his way through Baltimore's system and in Baltimore, he had these trials and tribulations, and everybody was saying, oh my God, like this guy in Baltimore, this Gausman cat in Baltimore, I mean, just wait till this guy's unlocked. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then all of a sudden he became the poster boy for Baltimore's ineptitude when it comes to developing pitching. And once he gets out of Baltimore, it took a little bit. The Giants were the right team to get Kevin Gausman out there. I don't know how many years Kevin Gausman has left of this type of stuff, because his type of stuff is the stuff that will dwindle as you get older. Gausman's 30. When he gets to 33, I don't think he's as good as he was this past year in San Francisco, but I'm going to call fact because for the next 2 to 3 years, Kevin Gausman, I think, is going to put together really solid years for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I think that it's an interesting one because factor fluke gives you two options, right? And I think he's somewhere in between those two. But if I have to side with one, I'm going to say fact, just because he had one of the best pitches in baseball, and that's not something that you can do by accident. That split finger was the top 10 pitch in baseball by run value, by a lot of different metrics that you look at. But here's the thing with Gausman: his fastball isn't good. Like, it upticked in velo a little bit from a couple years prior, but pretty much still on par, maybe down a tick from 2020. It's not a great pitch. It gets hit pretty well, even in his great year in 2020, great year last year. That was a pitch that got hit to about a 270 to 290 clip between those two seasons. That's not really going to play. It plays, though, because the split finger is so dominant. My concern is that when that split finger is off, that's where we saw him get into some trouble because the fastball is not good. The slider is not great. His other variation of his changeup is not that good either. So you're really relying on that pitch. But the good news is it's one of the best pitches in baseball. So when I look at a Kevin Gausman, I just think that he can ride that pitch to do something close to what he did before or what he did last year. When 131 of your strikeouts are coming on that splitter, I mean, that is more than half. 131 on the splitter of 227 Ks. I mean, that kind of shows you that he doesn't need that much else. That's how good the pitch is. He could almost tell guys it's coming and throw it. People used to say that about Fernando Rodney. He could say, I'm throwing the splitter, throw it, and guys couldn't hit it. I think he's kind of in that boat. So that gives him a really high floor for me. I don't think the numbers are going to be what they were last year. But if you look at the first half and the second half for Gausman, I think he's going to be right in the middle of those two, which you're going to take every day of the week. And I think is honestly right about what the Blue Jays paid him to be. And that's why I think it's fact, though I'm not counting on him being what he was for the first half of last year. Nobody is, or else he would have got $200 million.
Right. Kevin Gausman is a career 4 ERA guy. He was 2.81 in 2021. Are you happy with 3.5?
Yeah. With high K numbers. Yeah, absolutely.
I think me too. Let's go to Robbie Ray now, who just made his second All-Star team. I mean, he's literally had 2 good years. He's played 8 years in Major League Baseball. He's had 2 good years. They were both great. I mean, one of them was an all-star where he finished second in Cy Young voting, K'd 12 guys per 9 innings back in 2017. And then this year, when he led the American League in ERA, starts, innings, strikeouts, ERA plus whip. I mean, yeah, he's the reigning Cy Young winner. I'm calling fluke on Robbie Ray. In 2020, he walked 45 guys in 51 innings. I mean, he has problems. You're going to see these starts that he makes in Seattle in 2022, where he's at the 100 pitch mark and it's the top of the 5th inning and he's only got 1 out and there are 2 guys on after he walked the 2 guys. Like that to me is just something where, like, Oh, God. You almost don't want to move when he's having a great start. When I was watching Robbie Ray in Toronto, I was like, oh, God, this is almost like the time machine thing, right? You can't move a pen because then it changes how life moved forward after that. That's how I think Robbie Ray starts are. Like, I can't move because, he's through 5 shutout innings. Like, if I turn the channel, they're going to hit a 3-run bomb against him after 2 walks to open the next inning. I'm so nervous watching him because I feel like it's so volatile, and that just scares me. I don't think you get any consistency from him.
Yeah, this is one that's really tough for me because I think all of the thoughts that you lay out are 100% things that cross my mind.
I mean, 45 walks in 51 innings.
No, it's just crazy. And yeah, you can come back and say, okay, well, he came back this year, made tweaks to his mechanics, and obviously has much more lively velo, was going to the fastball a ton, commanded it well, and he only walked about 2.4 batters per 9. I don't know if he's going to replicate that. If he does, obviously he's going to be in good shape. The thing that keeps me away from saying fluke is this. He goes from a ballpark and what is outside of command, what is Robbie Ray's, what is one of his biggest weaknesses in terms of susceptibility?
The bomb,
right? So he's going from a ballpark where he played all over last year, right? But they moved from bandbox to bandbox. It was just places that the ball goes in the air. I think we talked about this recently. Ball goes in the air, it hits a jet stream, it's gone. So he played, it was bandbox to bandbox, no matter where they were. Yes, the Rogers Center isn't as much of a bandbox, but he didn't play in the Rogers Center. So it was places where it almost would have been probably one of the most hitter-friendly environments up there with Coors. Now you take him from there and you're bringing him to one of the more pitcher-friendly environments in all of baseball in Seattle at T-Mobile Park, which if you look at Park Factor last year or over the last 2 years, that is the 3rd most pitcher-friendly ballpark in baseball. Obviously, if you have command issues, that's not going to help you too much. But I'm looking at the one thing that burned Robbie Ray the most this past year, even when he was spectacular. And over the last few years, one of the highest home run to fly ball rates, meaning the percentage of fly balls that are hit off of him that leave the yard, always routinely high for him. That's something that might just naturally improve. If that happens, you have to just assume that across the board, he's going to be giving up less runs. I think he was going to give up more runs because if you look at every expected statistic, he was due to give up some more runs. So I think it kind of washes it out a little bit. I think the ERA is going to go up a tick, but he's kind of in the same boat as Gausman for me because of those other factors. And I'm going to buy it. I don't feel great about it. I agree with a lot of your sentiments, but I do think the change of environment, I do love what the Mariners do with pitchers as well. I think they can continue to help Robbie Ray unlock what he's doing. And obviously he's on the right track. I think the ballpark's going to be huge for him and I'm going to buy it, but it's going to be a cautious purchase for me on this one.
Yeah. Well, and why I totally hear what you're saying is the mechanical change. I put a lot of value in the mechanical change. I think that changing your delivery, it opens up this whole new realm of possibility for you that you didn't have open when you were stuck in your ways, right? 29-year-old Robbie Ray, he's 30 now, 29-year-old Robbie Ray. I mean, if he said, well, it hasn't worked yet, but it's going to work this year, I feel it. Like if he was just like, you know what, this is the year, I'm selling that shit immediately.
Yeah, no shot. That's the thing is I love to see tangible adjustments. When a guy has a breakout.
Adjustments. Amen.
I always talk about that with hitters especially because I love looking at pitchers, but hitters when I'm doing prospect breakdowns, like that's my thing. And when a guy has a breakout season, and we're going to talk about that too with a couple of the offensive guys. Yeah. If I don't see a tangible adjustment and a lot of the swing and miss numbers are the same and a lot of the metrics are the same, I'm like, what did he get better at? Like how is this happening? But when I see an adjustment with the mechanics, the biomechanics of your swing, your pre-swing setup, whatever it may be, and now you're seeing the dividends and, in the box score, that's what I want to see. That makes me feel a lot more confident in it. And that's something with Ray that we saw a little bit. So I'm excited this year. Those are 2 pitchers on the top of my list that I'm most excited to watch just to kind of see how it all develops. And obviously we're rooting for them, but it is going to be very interesting to see how it goes because both teams are looking for them to put them across, like take them to the next level. Both teams are
Right.
really hoping. For the Mariners, it's take them to the playoffs. The Jays, I know they've ended up finishing just short, but for them, it's Gausman's going to take them to the, a pennant potentially. So like that's what they're looking for.
I think those two guys, much like you are at the top of a lot of people's radar, because what does the encore look like? That's the big question. This is going to be their encore season. And is it still good, or was it, damn, I was just having an out of body experience during that show. And if I need to hop back on that stage, like, I don't look as good. They're also both on teams that I think we like, just personally like Toronto and Seattle.
Full disclosure, totally do.
Yeah, no, I do too. I like Toronto and Seattle. I want them to be World Series contenders this year. I don't think Seattle's there. I think Toronto's there. But you and I, the way we look at that Mariners system, the way that everybody looks at that Mariners system, Seattle is a World Series contender in like 3 years.